Hello there, everybody. I'm Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter. Here with me today is my lovely co-host, Wizzy.
I also go by Wizabelle.
Yeah, you've already made this joke.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. Well, maybe not Wizabelle specifically.
Yeah, not Wizabelle.
The first Princess Celestia gets mugged. You basically did that exact same joke.
Well, I had to bring it back because I'm just so sad that we're going to be finishing Princess Celestia Gets Mugged.
And we are. Let me tell you, it's been a wild ride with this fan fiction. But today we're going to have to finish it. But don't worry, because this will be our longest episode yet, probably. Oh yeah, also, hi, this is Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour podcast. Welcome on in. If you're starting here, then that's a bit confusing, not gonna lie. Like, honestly, why would you start here?
Yes, because I've been someone to do stuff like that. If I try and get into something that's already popular, unless it's like a TV show or something. But with like a, YouTube series or a podcast, I watch the later episodes first, and then I start going backwards.
Yeah, but specifically on, like, Chapter 3. Or not Chapter 3, this one will be like Chapter 6.
Well,
Chapter 6 through 10.
If someone is made to go back in the episodes, it may deter them from viewing the podcast as a whole.
That's true. However, they can look at many others.
Just let them live.
Yeah, we should probably continue with this thing.
All right, we are going to be doing Princess Celestia Gets Mugged by Brony Writer. Forget what chapter is this?
6.
6. The Nobility, but nobility is in quotes.
The nobility.
Princess Luna walked into the throne room and was horrified. No, I'm not going to keep.
Please stop rolling your R's, I beg of you.
But it's so much fun.
Dude, we have like 6,000 words to go, man.
Was horrified to see a group of no less than 6 representatives.
No.
From the I'm only going to do it if it starts with an R, because I think that's how they did it back in ancient Britain.
I don't care about ancient Britain.
Ooh. Gonna make a whole group of ancient British people
There's a reason
angry.
we changed the English language.
From the nearby noble families in Canterlot. She managed to hold her head up and greet them with a nod. The 6 exchanged quiet grumbles, but bowed to her as she sat on the throne. Were you,
Oh, really, Wizzy?
Or was I?
No, that was you.
Okay, I totally forgot what voice I was using, but I think it was the hissy one. Good evening, subjects.
It's good afternoon, actually. Also, sup.
Whoa. I totally misread afternoon as evening.
How'd you do that, man? How'd you do that?
She used her magic to fluff the pillow on the throne and adjust her tiara. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? The representatives undoubtedly heard the sarcasm in her voice, but they didn't comment on it. It was a sign that Luna wouldn't take their nonsense if she could help it. One of them exchanged an ominous nod with another and stepped forwards.
We were under the impression that Princess Celestia would see us as per requested.
His eyes scanned Luna.
You don't look like her to me. Where is she?
Luna scowled, and she leaned forward. Am I not regal enough for you? It would be unfortunate if I had to rescind your moon pie privileges whenever you visited. Moon pie? Does she make moon pies?
I don't know, I guess.
Because she's from the moon. Another representative rolled his eyes and snorted.
As if.
A vein in Luna's neck bulged, and her right eye twitched as she struggled to prevent herself from incinerating the pony in front of her. You doubt us? Very well. Your moon pie privileges are rescinded forever. One of the nobles breathed what seemed to be One of the nobles breathed what seemed to be Luna to be sigh of relief.
What seemed to Luna to be.
Oh, frick.
There you go. Now you got it.
I read the words, and they just don't make any sense, and I think I may be having a brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, anyways. Oh, good. I know I always hated them.
Another muttered.
Too rich for my taste.
Moon pies are not rich. Shut up, you guards.
I guess her moon pies are.
Maybe. Maybe she just stuffs them full of marshmallow. Luna gasped and shot to her hooves. How dare you? Why, I never! Luna's eyes darkened and she flared her wings out. That is blasphemy!
Almost as blasphemy as your hairdo right now. Hey-yo, up top.
Oh, you did not just call out the new princess's new hairdo.
I did.
She is very insecure about that. As Luna struggled to regain her thought process, another page ran up to one of the nobles and whispered something in his ear. The noble raised... Was that whispering noises?
Yeah.
The noble raised an eyebrow and he leaned into the rest of them to spread the word. Their reactions were similar, and they... What the heck?
What?
Their reactions were similar, and they turned back to Luna just in time for her to regain her thought process.
So, Princess Luna.
One of them began.
Why can't we see Celestia?
Luna's glower returned full force. My sister has taken a personal day. It is not my place to disturb her for the likes of you.
Oh, really?
Said another.
I find that interesting because Celestia doesn't take personal days. Not without some warning, anyway.
I thought the whole thing was she's never taken a personal day. Now they're implying that she has, but with warning.
Well, maybe they think that maybe she has. But, you know, they don't know.
It was a personal day to reorganize her stamp collection.
Yeah.
Which isn't really much of a personal day, if you ask me. I do not understand my sister's thought process, Luna growled. It is none of your concern what she chooses her day to be like.
Oh, fuck, I can't remember what this guy's voice was.
I think it's like Kermit.
But we had a meeting scheduled for today.
The first noble whined. She sent me in her place. Luna raised her snout into the air in a spot-on interpretation of the normal look of the nobles as they walked around Canterlot. I am a princess, too. Never forget that. The second noble's smirk widened, and she took a small step forward.
You know, Princess Luna, Celestia obviously doesn't tell us everything because she can't, but she's pretty excellent at masking her emotions when she's hiding something big. I've been coming to this court long enough to know that.
Okay, I don't know about you, but Second Noble and Princess Celestia kind of ship it.
Sure.
Luna opened one eye and made eye contact with the noble. What are you implying? The noble smirked.
I'm saying that it's hard to tell when she's hiding something. So I have to pay attention to the atmosphere to see if she is. Well, the atmosphere here is that you won't tell us where Celestia is. Sorry. I meant Princess Celestia. You won't tell us where Princess Celestia is, and Princess Celestia always tells us when she's taking a personal day in advance, as well as telling us generally what she will be doing in case she has to be reached for an emergency.
Get on with your accusations, or remove yourself from this hall. Luna snarled. I am not on trial here, nor are you a lawyer. The noble raised a hoof defensively, but the smirk never left her lips.
What I'm getting at is, it seems that Celestia has disappeared, And you won't tell me where she is. Something uncharacteristic of her. Not only that, but I've just received word that a platoon of royal guards has just left the castle.
They are undergoing a training exercise, Luna retorted. That is not so unusual.
A training exercise where they're shouting things like, "Let's do this thing," and "Let's go find the princess."
Why didn't she start with that? She licked her lips as if viewing Luna as a fly that she had caught in her web.
Where is Princess Celestia? And why are the guards looking for her? I hope this noble never leaves. She is now my favorite voice I've ever done.
Yeah, she's totally lusting after Princess Celestia. Luna growled and hopped off of her throne. She leaned forward and nearly touched the snout of the insolent noble.
That's
You would do well to listen to me. What?
Nothing.
The matters of this castle are not the concern of you. My sister is taking a personal day, and guards are undergoing training.
With Captain Shining Armor at the helm?
Indeed! Luna shouted, the force of her voice blowing the noble's hair back. He needs the exercise occasionally as well. The noble shrugged.
I suppose so. But there's more going on here than you will admit. I think even a commoner could see that.
Her smirk returned full force, but with a bit more determination and menace behind it.
I'm going to find out what is going on. I'm going to find out and tell all of Equestria.
She chuckled.
Or are you going to rescind my right to free speech, as well as my right to moon pies?
I suppose I cannot. Luna straightened up and raised her nose again. However, you shall find yourself as a guest at Hotel Moon next time you visit the castle.
That sounds lovely.
Oh, it is, believe me. They have just the most wonderful assortment of free shampoos and what have you.
Well, I shall be sure to mayhaps accidentally keep them in my bag once I return.
No, you menace! Anyway, back to the real story.
Hotel Moon.
The five nobles gasped, and even the one who had been talking took an uneasy step backwards and flattened her ears against her head.
You mean that run-down motel thing that's like 80 blocks from here? Oh.
I guess we totally had it wrong.
That's fun.
Luna nodded smugly. Indeed. I hope you enjoy spending time with the cockroaches. It will be refreshing to see you among your own kind. Ooh!
Oh!
Luna, going for the jugular.
Dab! Ugh.
Luna's
Why do
gaze...
people dag? That made me dizzy.
Wait, you dabbed?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could have seen it. Luna's glare returned, and she flared out her wings. Begone with you all! I have other matters to attend to. The nobles had to hold back grumbles of displeasure as they bowed.
Not in my
But they
version.
left
They couldn't hold it back.
But they left the throne room, ominously whispering amongst themselves. Luna
So you
shook
think
her
that
head as she
Luna
watched
totally
them go
uses
back.
hair extensions?
I don't think so. I think that she can just, magically shift her hair into whatever she wants.
I disagree. Anyways.
All right. As much as I dislike Luna, I'm not going to go after her fashion.
She wears a bib, dude.
And it's adorable. Luna shook her head as she watched them go. She sighed. Ah, Captain Armor, return my sister with all speed.
I heard that.
All right, that was the end of Chapter 6. Now we go on to Chapter 7.
Yay.
The news.
I don't like it. Something's up.
Quick Quill glanced up at his friend from his spot on the lounge couch and rolled his eyes. This can be me.
Yeah, I think so.
Fast talker. Just because Princess Luna acted weird in front of a group of nasty nobles doesn't mean that something's up.
He shook his head and returned to his book.
You look for conspiracies everywhere. It's a bit annoying.
Fast Talker glared at his partner.
You know, one of these days I'm gonna be right. It's gonna happen. I'm going to hit it big with a story.
You're not going to do that by publishing stories about our Sapphire Shores as secretly a stallion dating Fancy Pants' wife.
A small smirk crossed Quick-Quill's face.
I'm still amazed you weren't fired for that one. I've never seen the boss laugh so hard in his life.
Fast Talker's glare shifted to a scowl.
Just you wait. I know there's something going on with the princesses today. And I'm going to find out what.
I don't care about anything to do with the princesses. I want pictures of Spider-Man!
Yeah, you tell him.
All right, anyway, where was I?
Fast Talker.
Fast Talker trotted up to his friend and pushed the book away.
Look, an entire regiment of guards moved out from the castle today. There were too many of them for it to have just been a training exercise. It has to be something more.
Quick-Quill frowned and put his book up.
Why's that?
Refresh my memory. When was the last time you saw a training exercise of that size? Plus, I can read ponies, Quill. Something was up.
That is killing my throat. I don't know why I did that.
Oh, and you can't change it now.
Nope, or else the gods will kill me.
Quick-Quill rolled his eyes and placed his book down.
Okay, we'll go investigate the guards. But if we get caught or it's nothing, I'm going to suggest your termination to the boss. Got it?
Fast Talker rolled his eyes, but he grinned. He rushed over to his saddlebag and strapped it to his back.
Come on, buddy of mine. We've got an entire platoon of royal guards to stalk.
Quick-Quill groaned and shook his head.
Even if it is something, I'm going to request a different partner.
Shining Armor and his soldiers stood outside the apartment building that the captured kidnapper had led them to.
Alrighty then. This is it. Do we all do we have all exits covered?
Shining Armor's lieutenant nodded.
Yep.
So, unless they've already left, they're not going to escape.
Yep. He turned to his lieutenant and smiled confidently.
Well, Lieutenant, might as well not waste any more time.
He pointed towards the building.
Send Alpha, Beta, and Woodpecker teams in.
The lieutenant saluted and pointed towards the building. Instantly, the Pegasi guards flew through the windows of the apartment while the other groups burst through the entrances. Shining Armor himself led Woodpecker team through the front entrance. His horn fired up to protect his soldiers.
Can't be too careful with criminal masterminds like this.
So is Shining Armor canonically stupid?
Nope.
Oh, so it's just headcanon.
Yeah, sure.
The room in question was on the second floor, room 206. In no time at all, they were outside the door. Shining Armor raised a hoof to signal his colts to stop. He waved his hoof, and his lieutenant moved in behind him, while two more of his men took positions on either side of the door. Shining Armor himself moved in front of the door and charged up his horn. He glanced to the left, then the right, and nodded. With one short burst of magic, the door was blown off its hinges, allowing the guards to charge into the room. Shining Armor ran right after them, and they began to search the dingy apartment for any sign of either another kidnapper or Princess Celestia. Unfortunately, it quickly became apparent that the apartment was quite empty. Shining Armor's heart sank as he heard more and more shouts of "clear" from the guards, searching the few rooms the apartment had to offer. She wasn't here. He closed his eyes and shook his head as his second-in-command walked up behind him. Is that kind of me?
Yeah.
All right.
I did 6 pony voices earlier. Okay, man.
Well,
All in the same scene.
basically, I guess. Where do you think she could be? Shining Armor shrugged.
Anywhere. I have to imagine that she's close,
but here is not where she is.
The lieutenant opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, a team of Pegasi burst through the windows with a loud war cry. The leader of the team landed on the floor, flaring out his wings.
On foot, Princess Celestia, right now you are.
He scanned the room with a bewildered look on his face.
Did we get the wrong apartment again?
Shining Armor frowned.
What do you mean by that?
The team leader looked over at his captain, blinking in surprise.
Oh, Captain.
His ears flattened under Shining Armor's gaze.
Is this a bad time to say that you should probably read the original story first? It's probably a bad time.
We may have crashed through the incorrect window when we first came into the building.
The family was very understanding, though.
Another guard pointed out. Shining Armor groaned and face-hoved.
Ugh, you have got to be kidding me.
He sighed and walked over to the broken window.
I'm sorry to say this, but it seems that Princess Celestia is not here. She would have to have been moved in the past 6 hours, which means she could be anywhere from here to the train station by now.
Shoot, what voice did I use for the lieutenant?
I cannot remember.
Was the second in command the same as the lieutenant, or?
I don't think a second in command is a lieutenant. But how should I know?
Wouldn't it be hard to sneak her onto a train? The lieutenant questioned. I mean, she kinda sticks out, doesn't she? Shining Armor nodded.
That's why whoever took Princess Celestia is still in the city. The problem is, Kennerlot is not like Ponyville. There are dozens, if not hundreds of places that she could have been taken. But we also have to keep in mind that she's disguised as a pink-maned Pegasus named Sunny Skies. That would make her harder to spot.
Shining Armor turned to his soldiers.
I want teams sweeping every inch of this apartment and the surrounding grounds. Any clue regarding her whereabouts is to be brought to my personal attention at once. Is that clear?
The 2 guards saluted.
Tell me you got that.
Fast Talker whispered. Right, was this the... God. Sorry,
I think you did.
I got it, but I can't believe it.
Quick Quill collapsed his small portable microphone and shut off his tape recorder.
Princess Celestia has been kidnapped.
Fast Talker nodded dumbly before another wide smile split his face.
This is big.
The biggest story of our career.
Quick Quill agreed. Fast Talker threw his foreleg over his partner's shoulder.
What do you think? Major raises for both of us.
If we don't get some serious cash from this, I will personally quit and give this recording to any newspaper that will pay us for this story.
That's my cult.
Are they supposed to be father and son?
I don't think so.
Fast Talker slapped his partner on the back. Ooh!
Quick, Quill. My friend, I think we have a story to write.
Princess Celestia felt herself being taken out of the sheet after a 15-minute walk. Based on the sounds she had heard, they were in some sort of suburb not far from the apartment complex. Oh yes, it would be fun to see how Luna and Shining Armor found her here.
Ooh.
She felt herself being lifted into the air and placed down on the chair again. She was secured to the chair with ropes again, which she took as a cue to open her eyes. She saw her 3 kidnappers looking anxiously at her as she woke up.
I'm so sorry we did that again, Miss Skies,
said Mr. Xanadu.
Hopefully we won't have to do it again.
Celestia groggily shook her head to clear it.
Oh, it's okay. My head kinda hurts, though. Just a minute. Let me get some ice for your head, okay?
said Mr. Xanadu.
This is my mother's house, so we should be safe here.
Celestia slowly nodded, and Mr. Xanadu trotted off to get the ice. Celestia used the opportunity to scan the house. It was a relatively nice place. It was nothing extravagant like some of the nobles' houses, but it certainly was cozy. She looked back at her kidnappers and gave them a reassuring smile to signify that she was okay, something that eased the noticeable tension in their bodies. Mr. Xanadu returned with an ice pack and placed it on her head. Celestia thanked him and glanced out the window. Thankfully, Luna was doing a good job lowering the sun to raise the moon.
It would seem night has fallen upon us.
Her kidnappers also looked out the window and nodded.
Seems so.
Mr. Xanadu agreed.
Time to hit the hay, I wager.
Ms. Razzmatazz yawned. Now I was Ms. Razzmatazz, right?
I believe so. Can't remember what the other one was.
Totally forget what voice I did for her. I'm going to switch it up and tempt the gods.
Well, that's okay. This is a different recording, so you should be fine.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea.
I hate my life.
She turned to Mr. Xanadu. What are the accommodations?
There's a couch over there and 3 rooms upstairs,
he explained, pointing towards a nearby stairwell. He turned his attention to Celestia.
How are we going to deal with you? I can't imagine that chair is comfortable.
Celestia shrugged as best as she could.
I see no issue currently, but after a while it might get taxing.
Mr. Xanadu nodded.
I would imagine so. There are spikes on it.
What?
What was that? The Spanish chair? I'm thinking of a torture device. Sorry.
I would not
know. It was
know.
a joke.
He took a large length of rope out of his saddlebag.
Okay, this obviously won't stop you if you're really trying, but we trust you, okay?
Celestia nodded, prompting Mr. Xanadu to fire up his horn. The ropes around Celestia fell away, while the one he was levitating twisted itself into a sort of leash which he slipped around Celestia's neck. He beckoned her forwards, and she followed him towards the couch. He tied the other end of the rope around the banister.
I'm sorry about this, but we wouldn't want to go through all of this trouble just to have you escape and tell the guards where we are. Oh, I understand,
said Celestia as she hopped onto the couch.
Don't worry, though. I won't escape. A little bit of shining armor slipped into there. Continue, though.
Ms. Razzmatazz smiled warmly at Celestia. Well, that's good, Miss Skies. The mayor trotted over to the adjacent couch and laid down on it. You just get some rest now, and we'll try to sort things out in the morning. After a round of good nights, Celestia laid down on the couch and closed her eyes. She grinned and chuckled to herself.
This is awesome.
Morning arrived in the house, waking Celestia instantly. She looked out the window and saw her sun rising in the sky.
Good job, Lulu.
She swiveled her ear when she heard 2 sets of hoofsteps coming down the stairs. She sat up and smirked at her captors.
Good morning, mares and gentle colts. Good morning, Miss Skies,
said Ms. Follow.
Did you sleep well? Oh, very. Thank you so very much. I added the stow.
Celestia turned her attention to Ms. Razzmatazz, who was just waking up.
Good morning, Miss Razzmatazz.
The yawning mare raised a hoof in greeting. Morning.
So, breakfast?
Mr. Xanadu motioned over to the kitchen.
I think that my mother has some stuff here we could use. If not, I'm sure I can run out and get something.
The group of ponies heard a thud on the front door, eliciting a smile from Mr. Xanadu.
Ha, that's the morning paper.
I'll get it, said Ms. Razzmatazz. You get breakfast going. Mr. Xanadu nodded and trotted over to the kitchen. As Ms. Razzmatazz opened the door, her horn fired up, and the paper was enveloped in her magical aura. She trotted back over to the sitting room and sat down next to Ms. Fowler.
Yeah, no one knows what that is.
Okay. I'll reread it and we can cut it out. She trotted back over to the sitting room and sat down next to Ms. Fallow as she opened the paper.
Anything good?
Ms. Fallow questioned. Ms. Razzmatazz didn't answer. She merely stared at the front page of the paper. Her mouth and eyes were wide open as she scanned the page. Oh dear. Mr. Xanadu's popped his head out of the kitchen. That's messed up.
What? Is there a problem?
Princess Celestia has been kidnapped. Ms. Razzmatazz cried. Celestia's kidnappers. Oh my god. What have those fools done? Celestia's kidnappers simultaneously gasped, and even Celestia herself listened intently.
Wonder how they found out.
What happened?
Asked Mr. Xanadu. It says here that Princess Celestia left the castle in disguise yesterday and was kidnapped by a powerful cult of ponies while she was at her weakest. Another gasp went through the group.
How can they do that?
Ms. Fallow whimpered. Mr. Xanadu's eyes narrowed.
Why, if I ever came across those nasty ponies who kidnapped her, I'd introduce them to my hubs. I'd buck 'em into the next century.
Cemetery. You went for
Honestly,
a lot darker.
That would have been a bit funnier.
Does it say anything else?
Asked Ms. Fallow. Sorry, I need water.
Well, I need your face to be reading that shit.
All right, I'll read it, just not out loud. It says that she was disguised as a pink-maned Pegasus named
So you've
Sunny
lied.
Skies. What?
So you've lied. You are reading it out loud.
Well, I can't read it in my mind. That's the problem. I'm cursed.
Oh my gosh.
No, that would be actually weird.
No wonder you hate books.
Yeah. I never have enough voices by just myself for every character.
Well, I'm here now. And I'm never leaving you.
Ms. Razzmatazz went on. That would... The atmosphere in the room evaporated as realization hit each of the kidnappers. One by one, each of the ponies turned their heads towards Princess Celestia. Celestia, for her part, had the largest smile on her face this entire time. Laughter was forcing its way up her throat, but she forced it back down. It was Mr. Xanadu who finally managed to speak up despite the fact that he was leaning on the couch for support as if he had just had several heart attacks.
Oh.
And that is the end of Chapter 7, The News. So we go on to Chapter 8. That's right, 3 chapters.
Oh yeah, baby, ho.
Chapter 8. Oh.
Oh.
Mr. Xanadu repeated.
I
He gulped and began blinking rapidly.
Oh.
Princess Celestia widened her grin and cocked her head.
Is there a problem, Mr. Xanadu?
Mr. Xanadu collapsed onto his haunches and stared dumbly at the floor. Ms. Razzmatazz's ears twitched, and she let the newspaper fall to the floor. You're Princess Celestia? Princess Celestia tapped her lower jaw.
Am I?
She grinned and examined
Oh, great,
one
she's forgotten.
She's been in this form for too long. She grinned and examined one of her forelegs.
Well, I don't look exactly like Princess Celestia, do I?
Mr. Xanadu groaned and put his head in his hooves.
This was supposed to be easy. Just a simple mugging and kidnapping for ransom.
Yeah, simple.
Well, if I may say so, you pretty much messed up on every count.
Princess Celestia pointed out. She chuckled and shook her head.
I have no idea how hard it was.
You.
God, good God. Yeah, I realized that there was a problem. So shut the fuck up, Wizzy.
I will correct you at every chance I get, just to
Shut
seem
the
better.
fuck up, Wizzy. You have no idea how hard it was for me not to laugh. For me to not laugh when Mr. Knackerat delivered the ransom note by Huff.
See, he's the one voice I remember how to do, and he has not spoken at all in these chapters.
R.I.P., man.
The room was silent save for the intense, labored breathing of Ms. Fallow, Princess Celestia frowned and cocked her head.
Miss Fallow, are you okay? No.
Ms. Fallow whimpered.
No, I can't do this. I can't go back to jail.
Ms. Fallow shot to her hooves and bolted to the direction of the front door.
I gotta get out of here.
Ms. Fallow fired up her horn and her magical glow encased the doorknob. She threw the door open, but screamed and promptly slammed it shut.
Ah! What? What is it?
Asked Mr. Xanadu.
The royal guard is out there. Hey, you think this is gonna end up like how when Julius Caesar was captured by, what was it, pirates?
I don't know history, man. Don't ask me.
Alright, so Julius Caesar was captured by some people. And, like, somehow he managed to just get along with them. And they were all chill. And they were like, alright, yeah, man, this guy's cool. Let's just let him go.
It's like reverse
Julius was
Stockholm
like,
syndrome.
Julius was like, oh, man, I love these guys. So anyways, we're gonna kill you. And they killed all of his kidnappers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was messed up. Well, actually, not really. They did kidnap him. But it was messed up that they were pals and then he murdered them.
You.
Although I think he gave them, like, better deaths than not.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm also
could've
not sure if that
tortured them.
story is true or not. I think that was just a rumor or something.
Propaganda.
Yeah, sure, something like that.
See, that's how I get to kill all my friends.
Yeah. Now then, where were we?
Miss Fallow collapsed onto the floor and began rocking back and forth.
They know where we are. Now hold on a moment.
Mr. Xanadu closed his eyes and leaned his head against the wall.
If they knew where we are, then they would have already bucked down the door. We can still get out of this if we just think. Think.
Brain blast! Miss Fallow whimpered as Ms. Razzmatazz walked over to hug her.
Aw. Now, how many guards are out there?
Miss Fallow sniffled and wiped her eyes with a foreleg. She slowly stood up and trotted back over to the door and peeked out a window next to it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Miss Fallow collapsed onto her haunches again and leaned her head against the wall.
All of them, I think.
Mr. Xanadu nodded and straightened up.
Well, that does complicate things a little bit. Are they coming this way? They're going door to door.
Miss Fallow moaned. Well, if they are, then we just have to pretend we're not home. Miss Razzmatazz sat back down on the couch. It's not like they can just break down the door.
Actually, funny thing about that.
They can.
It
It was at that precise moment that the royal guards began pounding on the door, causing all three kidnappers to jump. What?
This is the police, open up. Can a guy get some privacy? That was a John Tron reference. Anyways.
I get it. Causing all three kidnappers to jump.
This is the royal guard.
A voice that Celestia recognized as Shining Armor barked.
Please open the door. I'm moving my hands like I'm a Muppet.
Did you say at once?
At once.
Mr. Xanadu quietly put his hoof to his lips in a shushing motion, and pointed to the door nearest the couch. He mouthed the word, I don't know if you're supposed to read that, basement.
Basement. In the basement.
And tip-hooved towards the door. His fellows nodded and began tip-hooving themselves.
That sounds kinky.
Yeah. Another loud pounding on the door made them jump again, but they remained silent.
Who is it?
Oh, Princess Celestia. Princess Celestia called out, stretching her throat slightly to make her voice more high-pitched. The
I
kidnappers...
I didn't know
What?
that was, like, what she was doing. I just thought it was funny.
The kidnappers stared at her in horror, and Mr. Xanadu looked over to a nearby wooden plank and a pile of firewood.
It's the Royal Guard, ma'am.
Shining Armor replied,
If you could please come to the door, we have some questions we'd like to ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't come to the door right now.
Celestia replied.
We?
Mr. Xanadu inched over to the plank and grabbed it in his front hooves. He raised it over his head and then swung downwards. The board connected with Celestia's head, and the force of the strike snapped the board in two.
There's that pillow feeling again. Ma'am, if there is more than one of you in there, why can't one of you come to the door?
We're all naked.
But we're all ponies. That's chill for us.
Shining Armor questioned.
This is a really important matter.
Celestia leaned back on the couch and tapped her lower jaw with her hoof.
Well, I can't come to the door because I'm a little tied up right now. The other three can't come to the door because they're frozen in place. Does that answer your question?
Tied up? Indeed. I have a rope leashed around my neck that is securing me to the banister.
Oh my god. Celestia must be having so much fun while
maybe a little.
worrying literally her entire kingdom.
Uh-huh.
Celestia reclined on the couch and fired up her horn. Her sunny skies disguise washed away, revealing her true form. With another spell, she slipped the rope leash off.
Well, maybe not anymore. But I promise you, I did.
Silence was the only reaction from the other side of the door for a moment. Princess Celestia turned her head to her kidnappers and smiled warmly at them, something that didn't help their moods. Mr. Xanadu and Ms. Razmataz were holding on to each other as Ms. Fallow had fainted dead away. Finally, Celestia heard Shining Armor sigh.
Princess, is that you?
Celestia hopped off the couch and walked in front of the door. She fired up her horn and opened it to reveal a scowling Shining Armor and two stone-faced royal guards.
Good morning, sirs. Would you like to come in?
Shining Armor grunted and face-hugged.
You were never in any danger at all, were you?
Celestia shook her head.
Not for a moment, my little pony. I can tell you that this has been all great fun. This has all been great fun. For you, maybe.
Exactly. Thank you, Shining Armor. Shining Armor grumbled. He motioned to the guard on his right.
Go get Princess Luna. I know she'll want to know all about this.
The guard saluted and took wing. Princess Celestia moved aside to allow Shining Armor and the other guard access to the house. She beckoned them towards the sitting room where the three ponies were still sitting on her... where the other ponies were still sitting or had fainted. Shining Armor groaned and rubbed one of his temples.
You have got to be kidding me, Princess. These are the ponies that kidnapped you. Technically, I just played along.
Celestia admitted.
Oh, right. Of course you did.
Shining Armor deadpanned.
Let me just...
Shining Armor deeply exhaled and shook his head. It was at that moment she knew she effed up. It was at that moment that what seemed to be an earthquake ripped through the house. Princess Celestia raised an eyebrow and turned her head to see Princess Luna standing in the now destroyed doorway. Her wings were flared out to their full length, and a snarl was etched on her face. Celestia returned her sister's expression with a smile.
Oh, good morning, Lulu.
You do not get to say good morning to me, Tia.
Luna screeched. You! Celestia walked over to her sister and raised a hoof.
Calm down. I'm perfectly fine.
Oh, how wonderful for you! Luna snarled. Have you considered the personal Tartarus I have experienced? I'm spitting all over my phone.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't do a voice like that then.
Too late. It's been established. Celestia sighed and closed her eyes as she put a hoof on Luna's shoulder.
Lulu, I admit that I might not have been thinking about what you had to go through. And for that, I'm sorry. But in my defense, who's the one that got a 1,000-year vacation to the moon?
Total BS. She totally knew what she was doing to Luna. She said so herself in previous chapters. This version, yeah. She was like, oh my god, I wonder how Luna's going to handle this. This version of Celestia, while hilarious, is completely selfish.
I can't blame her. And frankly, I love it. Frankly,
Yeah,
I think
I
she's
do
a great character.
I think it's a great character, but also selfish.
I mean, I think this is like Celestia, who's only done one selfish thing in her life, and that's this. And frankly, I think that's deep.
All right, then. Luna scowled and slapped Celestia's hoof away.
It was actually growled.
Oh. Luna growled and slapped Celestia's hoof away. We had to deal with that rabble you call the nobility upon your kidnapping. On top of that, the press got wind of your little day off with those foul nags.
Yes, we read about that in this morning's paper.
Celestia chuckled and glanced back at the sitting room.
I might have to save a clipping.
Luna slammed her hooves on the ground. Have you no shame, Tia? Why do you pretend that no great consequences have come from this?
Because I do not believe as such.
Celestia put her hoof back on Luna's shoulder.
No pony got hurt, least of all me, and I have to admit, I did have fun. Those poor ponies who kidnapped me were an all-right sort. There was no true malice behind their actions.
Celestia's smile returned.
Besides, you've been asking me for more time in the court to get used to dealing with the nobles. Oh, got her. Oh, my cat went out. I formally apologize for that horrible noise. That was my microphone.
Not like that, Tia! Luna leaned forwards until her snout touched her sister's. If you think that you shall ever receive another day off, you are mistaken. In fact, I think that no cake shall be had by you forever. Hey, it's the cake thing you hate. Yep. Celestia frowned and leaned back.
Now, Lulu, let's not say things we cannot take back.
Luna huffed and walked past Celestia. I have nothing further to say to you for the day, Tia. Luna cracked her neck and trotted over to the sitting room with a... Well, technically, I'm Luna, but okay, you can crack a neck. With the three kidnappers remained. Luna's scowl deepened and she flared out her wings once more. Explain yourselves. What possessed you to commit such a heinous act? Upon seeing Luna's rage, Mr. Xanadu's eyes rolled in the back of his head and he fainted dead away, leaving Ms. Razmataz as the only conscious kidnapper. Oh, come on, she moaned. Luna's eyes narrowed and she took a step forward. I am awaiting for your answer. Ms. Razmataz chuckled weakly and dropped Mr. Xanadu on the ground. Well, I think we did it mostly for the money. You stole money from my sister?
Oh, not really, Luna.
Celestia assured her.
I won it all back playing poker.
Poke? Luna growled and face-hooved so hard a loud slapping noise echoed throughout the house. And she had hooves, so it, gave her a concussion. Seriously, imagine that. Just like
Well, yeah, but
slamming your...
also it's a princess, and we've established that the
All
princesses
right.
are hella strong in this.
Fair point.
Just said hella. Ugh.
You are bucking kidding me, Tia! Mrs. Razzmatazz gulped and scooted away. We didn't hurt her at all, I think. You think? Luna's eyes began glowing white. You think?
Lulu, please calm down. As I said, no harm befell me. They did not hurt me, nor did they intend to do so.
We just wanted a little money to support ourselves. Miss Razzmatazz whimpered. I think it was just to pay the bills for a few months until until one of us got a job.
Where did that think it come from?
I don't know.
Oh well.
Ms. Razzmatazz motioned over to the two unconscious ponies. See, we all went to school together, and we thought that we could pay the rent easier if we split it. Then... Miss Razzmatazz lowered her head and flattened her ears. We lost our jobs. We tried to open up our own spa, but it didn't quite work out. Miss Razzmatazz sighed and shook her head. It's too bad. Mr. Nakarat is the best masseur I've ever met. Indeed he is.
Oh, and Luna got a sick-ass massage. Well,
Really
Tia
creepily.
was just stuck in a stupid chair. Man.
Luna mumbled. Celestia grinned and raised an eyebrow, eliciting another glare from Luna. It is none of your business, Tia.
I see.
Celestia turned back to Shining Armor.
Captain Armor, if you would please escort these three to the palace. I would like to discuss their future in a more comfortable setting.
Miss Razzmatazz
Off
whimpered.
with their heads.
Miss Razzmatazz whimpered and lowered her head.
Starting with a partial pardon for all three of you.
Miss Razzmatazz's eyes widened and she snapped her head back up. And then her neck snapped and she died.
Well, now she's dead. Fuck.
Cue the Seinfeld theme.
The bam bam down down.
Do you really mean it? Celestia smiled and nodded.
No. What you did was wrong, my little pony. But if you wish to atone in a way that doesn't end with your imprisonment, I will not stop you. You shall work off your debt.
Miss Razzmatazz leaped to her hooves and smiled. Do you really mean it? Celestia nodded, and Miss Razzmatazz...
No.
Oh my god. You're just going to take every chance for that.
Yeah.
And Miss Razzmatazz let out a squeal of delight. However, her smile slowly fell, and she glanced back at her two accomplices. But what about Mr. Nakarat? You didn't say you were going to pardon him. Celestia's smile widened ever so slightly, and she turned her head to Luna.
I'll leave that to Princess Luna here.
Luna cocked her head and raised an eyebrow. Me? Celestia nodded.
Indeed, sister. You are the one who captured him, after all. Are you willing to imprison or execute the proclaimed best masseur in Equestria?
You know, Celestia's doing a lot of nodding. Guessing she's going to have a headache after this.
Mm-hmm.
Luna's left eye twitched and her glare returned to full force. That is not fair, Tia. Luna growled and closed her eyes. Pardoned. He shall share the fate of his fellows.
Very well, sister,
said Celestia.
Then, we will.
But only after another back rub. Luna, you creep. Luna
Hey.
blurted out.
It's his profession.
Imagine forcing a prisoner to give you a back rub.
That's a bit weird, but at the same time, he did kidnap the princess. So.
Fair enough. But it's still weird.
Even
That
if it's weird, I still think it's amusing. And also, it's a different dimension. Who knows what they think there?
That afternoon saw the group back at the palace, Princess Celestia revived the 3 unconscious kidnappers and informed them of their fate. They would be given jobs in the palace relating to their special talents. On top of that, she hinted that she might use them to prank some of the nobles that came through the castle. She had shining armor escort the elated kidnappers to the servants' quarters to begin their training. God.
Framing? Come on, man.
Framing them. Luna had left to go to her room not long after that. It was clear that she was still quite miffed about the whole thing. Before she left, though, she beckoned Mr. Nakarat to follow. God, Jesus. It seems so sexual.
Well, it's not. It's just a back rub. Come on, man.
You know what back rubs lead to?
Getting paid?
Drugs.
Are drugs inherently sexual?
Back rubs are a gateway drug.
Right.
Finally, Celestia herself went back to her room. Having cancelled court that day, she sighed contentedly and reclined on her bed, allowing herself to sink into her pillows. They could reach her here if she needed anything, but it was time to unwind from the events of the past few days. Celestia sighed and snuggled into her sheets, ready for a nice long nap.
A long winter's nap.
Oh, really? She needs a nap after that whole vacation. Celestia woke a few hours later.
Luna still sleeps.
What?
Luna still sleeps. Just saying.
I don't think Luna ever sleeps.
She does, though.
Well, I guess someone who had watched the show would know.
Yeah.
She glanced over at the clock and saw that it was time to lower the sun. If anything, she was a few minutes late on that. She stretched out her wings and cracked her neck before firing up her horn.
Why didn't anyone tell her to lower the sun?
She's lowering the sun. What are you talking about? She's supposed to know.
Yeah, but there should at least be somebody, like a guard or something, on standby for that. You know, man, just in case.
She should at least have an alarm set on her iPhone.
Bit of a problem with that one.
Ponies don't have iPhones?
Yeah. Only Android.
The humanity. Or should I say, the horse-manity. Cue Seinfeld theme. Slowly, the sun lowered in the sky, disappearing over the horizon after a minute as a reversal of her actions. Celestia saw the moon raise into the sky before coming to a halt at its peak. Celestia smiled as the moonbeams filtered through her window. She figured that it was a good time to get a little snack. As she opened the door to her bedroom, only to find her sister standing on the other side with her hoof raised.
It was Soshi, not As-she.
So she opened the door to her bedroom only to find her sister standing on the other side with her hoof raised.
Oh, good evening, sister.
Luna frowned and lowered her hoof. Tia, I wish to speak to you about the events of the past few days. Celestia chuckled and waved her hoof.
Oh, Luna, I told you that I'm fine. They couldn't have hurt me if they wanted to. And they didn't want to hurt me anyways.
That is not what I meant, Tia. Luna snapped. I am glad to see you are unhurt, but there was more to this whole situation than your day off.
Celestia's smile faded, and she cocked her head.
Luna, I know they were desperate because they were in poverty. While they are being punished, I am using their skills for good. Mr. Xanadu is coordinating relief efforts, Miss Fallow is learning how to cook in the kitchens, and Miss Razmataz is planning pranks for the nobles on top of managing the finances for the 3 of them.
Why does she want her to prank the nobles?
Fun.
Celestia's smile returned.
Not to mention that Hugh and Mr. Nakarat seem to be getting along quite nicely.
Tia, can you think of nothing but yourself?
Not really.
Finally, you're on board. Luna slammed her hoof on the floor, leaving cracks where it impacted.
Did you ever stop to consider how I would react to such news? That you are taken by some unknown group?
Celestia put a hoof on Luna's shoulder.
Lulu, you did a fine job. both with the nobles and the rescue attempts.
I was scared, Tia.
A sob coursed through Luna's body, and she pushed her sister's hoof off.
I received news that some group had taken you, and I didn't know what was going on. Yes, they were asking for a mere ransom, but how was I supposed to know you had allowed yourself to be kidnapped for fun? If they had known who you were and were still able to capture you, how was I supposed to handle that?
Luna,
Celestia looked into her sister's tear-filled eyes and flattened her ears.
You're right, of course. I wasn't thinking. It's just that it was so exhilarating. I knew I was in no danger, but it almost felt dangerous. It broke the monotone of dealing with the nobles without being a national crisis of some kind.
It's like when you get really good at a game and it's no longer a challenge, so you get some mods to try and make it harder.
Yeah.
You did not think of me, Tia,
Luna mumbled.
I did not know what I would have done had you actually been injured. It scared me.
Hey, remember when you totally blasted me out of the sky?
That was
funny.
I remember
that. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, I think some people thought I was dead. Fun fact, happened in the show. Anyways, let's continue.
Celestia gave her sister a small smile and wrapped her in a hug. Luna leaned her head against Celestia's shoulder and returned the hug.
I'm sorry. Had I thought for a moment that this would happen, I would have never done it. It was just a bit of fun on my part. I'm sorry if it hurt you.
I am just glad you are safe, Tia.
A smile stretched across Luna's face.
I do not suppose that you shall accept my order of no more cake.
Celestia chuckled.
No, Luna. I don't think I will. Curse Mother for eating it so much when I was in the womb.
The heck? Luna snorted.
She ate peanut butter and pickle sandwiches with me, Tia.
Celestia wrinkled her snout in disgust.
Even with that, I will never understand your fondness for them.
Celestia released her sister.
I mean, really. Peanut butter, and pickles?
Luna's smile widened and she shrugged.
If you do not wish to partake in that treat, you do not have to.
Luna chuckled and tapped her jaw.
Ha ha ha! If you shall not accept your punishment of no cake, I shall have to think of some other nefarious scheme.
Celestia raised an eyebrow.
I see.
She snorted and crossed her forelegs.
Not to tempt fate, but hit me with your best shot.
Fire away.
Only one more chapter.
Is the end of chapter 9, or is that 8? I think that's 8.
Oh, I don't know.
That is chapter 8. Oh, now we go on to epilogue, chapter 9.
Epilogue.
Princess Luna reclined her belly down on her favorite comfy couch as Mr. Nakarat gently massaged her back. He worked out a particularly large knot, and Luna gave a long, contented sigh.
Ah, you are truly wonderful.
Mr. Nakarat chuckled and dug one of his hooves into her back. Ooh, I get to voice him again.
I do my best. Thank you for not obliterating me for kidnapping your sister. Yes, let that be a lesson to you,
Luna said with a half-hearted wave of her hoof. Mr. Nakarat chuckled and moved to her neck.
Heh, it's funny. I think I remember having some kind of dream with you. You didn't look like you, though. You looked a little younger. Ooh!
Going for her age. He laughed again.
Heh, I think I tried to seduce you, but I ended up giving you a belly rub instead.
Luna cleared her throat and looked towards the ceiling.
Oh, yes, that does sound like an interesting dream. Maybe that's how you knew I give such good back rubs.
Mr. Nakarat chortled.
You don't happen to dreamwalk, do you?
Luna bit her lip and rubbed her two front hooves together as she formulated a response, but she was fortunately spared having to come up with one when the other 3 kidnappers walked into the room. She motioned for Mr. Nakarat to cease his back rub and sat up on her couch.
Good evening, mares and gentle colt.
The 3 kidnappers bowed low to the floor.
Good evening, Princess Luna,
said Mr. Xanadu.
I trust that you have no complaints as to the state of your employment.
Ms. Razzmatazz chuckled and nodded. Ha ha ha! I must say that I never really saw myself having a job as a castle nobility prankster, but she shrugged. There you go.
And what have you been working on as of late?
Luna questioned.
Well, on top of our pranking job, Princess Celestia is having us helping out with the relief efforts for some of the lower income ends of Canterlot, so no pony else has to make our mistake,
said Ms. Fallow. Ms. Razzmatazz nodded and turned her head to Ms. Fallow. What did she say about that? We had an insider's perspective that the nobility didn't have, or something like that. Ms. Fallow nodded.
Something like that. At any rate,
Mr. Xanadu pulled a blueprint out of his apron pocket and unrolled it on the floor.
As you can see here, a group of 6 nobles will be joining Princess Celestia for dinner tomorrow evening. She said that we should think up something special for them in the event that the dinner is not as cordial as she would like.
Ms. Fallow held down one of the ends of the blueprint and pointed to a diagram in the center.
Basically, what's going to happen is that the nobles sitting here, and here will be given soup laced with slow-acting sleeping powder. If we time it right, they should fall asleep when they're walking out to their carriages. She plans for them to wake up in the kitchen somewhere, but we're not quite sure the exact location.
Ms. Razzmatazz pointed at 2 X markers on the blueprint. As I understand, these 2 nobles here are banned from eating cake in the castle as punishment for something or other.
I heard the cause was for quarreling,
Luna confirmed. Mr. Xanadu shrugged.
Whatever the case may be, Princess Celestia has requested that they be served moon pies instead.
Luna's jaw dropped and she shot to her hoofs.
I demand your explanation revealing why moon pies are a punishment.
Ms. Razzmatazz shrugged. I don't know. Princess Celestia wanted it that way. Mr. Xanadu motioned back to the map.
As we were saying, apparently this 6th noble is some pony named Fancy Pants. We're not supposed to do anything to him, because he's awesome.
Luna scowled and took the blueprint in her magic.
This hate for moon pies is ridiculous,
Luna grumbled.
However, I have more serious matters to attend to. I have called you here to discuss a matter of grave importance.
The 3 ponies bowed again.
We are willing to do whatever it takes to pay our debts to you and Princess Celestia,
said Ms. Fallow. Luna nodded and slipped the blueprint back into Mr. Xanadu's apron.
Excellent.
Princess Luna moved in front of the 3 and sat down on her haunches.
How would you like to help me prank Tia?
Oh.
The end.
Huh. Kind of a weird epilogue, if you ask me. A little bit unnecessary.
I agree. We should have just stopped at... Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways. That was our first story. Fanfiction.
What a great fanfiction.
Freaking awesome. Funny. It was Celestia based. So, yeah, I think it was near perfect.
It did have a few minor problems, but I don't think any story is really going to be perfect. I would definitely give it 9.5 out of 10.
Wowzers. That's really good, dude.
Well, this is like my 3rd favorite that we've done.
Only 3rd? Did one of them get a 10 out of 10?
Okay, if you want me to lower my standards...
I'm not saying lower them. I'm just saying that's pretty nuts, dude.
Well, if you say near perfect, how do you not agree?
No, dude, near perfect's like a 9, maybe 8.5, dude.
All right, you know what? 7 out of 10.
Well, alrighty then. If you want it. Sorry,
yeah,
Brony Ryder. I tried to stop it, but...
Brony Ryder, go ahead and blame Ross.
Nope, I tried to stop it.
You tried to stop the 9.5 out of 10.
Nah, it wasn't that I was trying to stop it. I was just confused.
You questioned it, and I dropped it 2.5 points because of
That
you.
sounds like your fault.
Anyway,
This has been a pretty long recording. Don't know what it's actually going to end up being, but yeah, fun stuff, man.
holy jeez, it really has been a long recording.
Oh yeah, probably our longest. So, thanks for watching, guys, or listening. Listening is what I meant to say. Guys.
And that wraps everything up for this episode.
Picture perfect. Hope
Bye.
y'all go listen or read the actual story, please. Okay, goodbye.